Folks, I'm going to show you how to make a very basic snap buckle to be 3D printed. I'm going to start off straight away with one of these lovely half moon shapes, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees, and then I'm going to make it a height of 10, and then I'm going to bring in a square block. I'm going to make that, let me check my measurements, 40 by 10, I think it was. No, it was 5 by 5 at the bottom. 5, and then I'm going to actually no, it's 10, and the length I believe was 50, not 5 but 50. So let's make that 50. Let's check that again. Yeah, it's 40, but I'm going to make it 40 then. 40. Okay, so how do we put these two things together? That's the question. Also, what's happened with this is because I rotated it, it rotated through the material, so I'm just going to bring this up to 0. Okay, that's very important. Use the cone if you want to bring things below the work plane. Watch this. That's now below the work plane. If you want to bring it back up again, what you need to do is use that cone and bring it up, and you'll see it goes to 0, or you can 0 it using your keyboard. Okay, this is actually in a really good place, but what I want to do is make sure it's aligned properly. I'm selecting this by drawing a box around it, and I'm going to use the align button. Now, because this is grayed out, it means that it's aligned perfectly there. It's in the right spot as well, but what happens if it's not in the right spot? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make sure that it's not aligned in the right spot by aligning it incorrectly, and by having that piece inside of that piece, for example. I have this piece over here, for example, so I'll just select it all, and I'm going to align it properly by using this backspace here, so that gets this whole line flush with each other. And what I'm going to do is just bring it to the end. Now, if I remember correctly, I can just actually look at this half moon shape, and I can see that that's 20. Now I just want to draw this along by 10, so I'm selecting that shape only, not this shape, but this shape, and I'm going to use the shift key, and I'm going to draw this forward, and I'm going to go forward 10. Okay, I typed that, you could hear me typing that in on the keyboard. Right, that's fine. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to just group this by using the square and the circle that are joined together. That's great, that's now one piece. I'm going to look at this back piece here and see how big this is. So that's actually 25 by 30. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just draw in a box now, which is, I'm going to say it's going to be 20 by 30 this way. And it's the same height, which of course is 10. So make that 10. And I'm going to very simply duplicate this by using this duplicate and repeat button. And then I'm going to just draw this along here. I'm using the shift button to get things moved nice and straight. And it's sort of quite intuitive. You can see here that it's just lined everything up really nicely for me. I'm going to select this, and I'm actually going to use the mirror. I'm going to mirror it this way, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this along to here. Oh, that fits in perfectly as well. Right, it kind of snaps a little bit, which is really nice. Just going to have a look at this. Now, it's going to be a bit problematic if it's not snapping together properly, so I'm going to just pretend it hasn't, that these are kind of in weird places, and I'm going to just try aligning this again. So let's do the alignment. So what can we do with this? Okay, so we bring everything together there. Okay, right, and let's just use the shift button and move this along to here. Right, oh, I have to deselect everything. Let me just select that one and move this along. That's going to go along, 25 I think, yeah, let's make that 25. You can kind of work it out, it's in multiples of 5, because this block at the back, if you remember, is 30, and this one here is 5, like 5 thickness at the end. So I'm going to just move this along another -5. You can type in the minus button, it's next to the plus button, -5, and that's great. That's once again aligned. So I used the align button, I aligned everything to one side go left side, right side, and then I managed to put it together. Now I'm just going to group this again. That's now my sort of snap clip. Now you notice here I've done this box, which is a whole box. I'm going to make this whole box 5 by 5. Oh no, that's going to be, I'll leave that 20. I'm going to make that 5. I don't have to change any of the other measurements, do I? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to align these by selecting them both. Let's align them, let's center them. And I'm going to bring that right to the back. Now once it's there, I can select it and I can use the shift button again to move things in a straight way. Oh, I'm enlarging it by mistake. So I'm going to use the shift button, I'm going to move it along by 5. And I'm happy with that. Okay, I'm going to do one final group. And that's my snap clip done. Brilliant. She looks better than my other one. Okay, great. So we need to make this shape here for it to sort of snap into. So it's going to be snapping into that, and hopefully the material won't break when it goes through. I usually have a sort of a center tongue that goes through. I don't have that because for the expediency of like the way it's going to be built. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to move my duplicate away. Okay, just a little bit for it. I'll move this over actually here. Doesn't matter if it's going into the other shape. And what I'm going to do with this now is I'm just going to enlarge it slightly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enlarge it by 2, 42. You know, it gets slightly bigger. I'm going to make this 72. Alright, okay, so I've made it longer and I've made it a bit kind of wider, haven't I? And I'm going to take a block. And let's say this block here, what's the measurements on that? That is 50 by 80. Once again, it's a height of 10, and it's going to be 50 by 80. So that's 50 that way, and it's going to be 80 this way. Brilliant. Okay, and let's center everything again. But before we do that, let's just go into the properties of this and turn it into a hole. Okay, let's get the two of these. Let's center them. Center them. Ah, that's too far in. So what I want to do with this is actually use the shift button and move that back a little bit. And I'd say to there is enough. 25, yeah, 25 is the distance you want to go. Okay, I'm feeling good about this. And I'm going to group it. But to group it I need to select both shapes by, you've guessed it, drawing a box around both and then grouping, and there you go, you've got a hole cut into it which is about the right length. Now we've got this tricky bit here sticking out that we need to sort out as well, so I'm going to just drag my box in. Now if I remember correctly, the gap between here, well, let me see, what was that? I believe it was 20, but this to here, I think that was 50. Let me just try 50. I think that's right. Let me just push it in, and something's changed. What's changed? Okay, I think the whole shape has changed a bit because it's been increased by 2. So I'm going to make this 22, and I'm going to make this 52, because you remember everything got increased. Is that too much? It might be. Maybe I'll leave this as 50. Let's see how this works out. I'm going to select both and I'm going to align them just to check. Center, and I'm going to go to endpoint. Ah, yeah, it is a little bit big, isn't it? So let's click on that box by itself and let's try a measurement instead of 51. See how that works. Okay, it's gone forward slightly. Let's move it back a bit. 1. We've gone back 2. Too much. It is a little bit too much. Let's go forward 1. 1. And I think that's good. Okay. Now what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to do something a little bit lazy. I'm going to push this, I'm going to duplicate it, I'm going to push this forward, and I'm going to make this 5. And there we go. Because that's already sort of centered, I can just duplicate it, take a bit and push it forward. And hopefully, using the shift button and the roller button here to orbit. Group this. Looks pretty nice to me. Looks fine. But if I put this clip in here, isn't that just going to... We test it and see that there's a gap between the two, yeah? Isn't this just going to fall out? Or fall forwards? So really what you want to think about as well is you want to think about having a base for this. Now if you remember, it was 50 by 60. So we'll do, 50 by 80. I'm going to do 50, 80. And what we'll do is do a height of 2. Let's make it 3. Right, now, these two, they're kind of stuck together, aren't they? So what I want to do is I want to actually raise one up, which is the base. I'll raise it up by 3 using the cone. And then I want to align these two. Oh, hang on. I didn't select both, obviously, otherwise I'd get this align option. So let's do this. And let's do that. Here we go. We have to center them this way as well. Lovely. Okay, and that is actually, is that floating off a little bit? I think it is. All right. Did we? Oh, I think I raised up everything by mistake. That's fine. It's aligned anyway. So what I'm going to just drop this back down by 3. Oops. I just move it around a little bit by mistake. Let me have a look. It's sitting flat on the work plane. Let's just check it by trying aligning it again. Aligning is actually just the best thing about this. Let's just have that. No, we want that up. Oh, undo. Undo. Let's just come off it and undo that twice. I think that's actually aligned perfectly. Yeah, that's fine. I was just kind of being overcautious. Right, I'm just going to quickly ungroup this. And you see this box here at the end. I'm just going to select that and I'm going to push that down just by, you can just push it down by 3. It's taller and now it's actually gone through the bottom, because otherwise what you're going to end up with is a solid piece where there needs to be a hole for the clip for the thread to go through. Now you need to make your own measurements on this. It might be that the width of your strap is bigger, but you see there I've made that hole. You see that now I can actually get it thread through some sort of a strap. This is on the work plane. I've already checked this. You can check this again quality control wise by aligning it. Let's have a look and just seeing if there is a little gap. Should be a little gap between this and the other thing. So I'm just going to draw this up by 3 and just check to see there's enough of a gap. Now what will happen when this goes in is that these will push closer together. They'll pinch together and then they should snap into there. This by no means is perfect. I mean, these edges here should be a bit more rounded. You could possibly do that with a hole. So for example, putting in a cylinder like around about here somewhere, and then, or somehow taking a curve out of the end there. But in any case, this should, for all intents and purposes, work. Right, I'm going to place the two together. I'm going to go to export, and remember to export it as an STL file for 3D printing. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope that's been helpful. See you next time.